This is the B-side, 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 the marriage. This is the B-side, 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 the marriage.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Bsideofmarriage podcast. My name is Rashonda, and this is my husband,
Jason.
And this is a podcast where we talk about everything related to marriage, the good, the bad, the A
and the B side.
So, our only segment, we like to start off the show with either an A or B side moment. So, Jay, take it away.
I would say my B-side moment, and again, it's just that I had to work these late games this past week. So when normally Fridays is our family movie night, and I missed it last week, so that's something I always look forward to. So, but wasn't there.
You actually missed it several nights.
That's what I'm saying. It's been a while. It's been a while since. So, but that's mine.
I'm going to have an A side. I finished my first quarter of school.
Oh, yeah.
So that was fun. And now I'm enjoying my little break that we have in between quarters. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's weird because I always felt like I had something to do. So I feel like, because I always had like reading, something. Right? Like I always had reading or papers and stuff, research or something to do. I'm just like, wait, did I forget to do something? But no. So it'll be funny. By the time I shut down, like get used to it, it'll be time to ramp back up. Yeah. So I'm trying to enjoy this while it lasts.
Okay. So what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're talking about divorce is an option. So the reason why I say this is because I was raised in the church. You were raised in a church. Or you went to a church. Anyways, the moral of the story is...
I have a grandma who went to church, and I would go on.
I'm saying you're like church adjacent.
Yes.
You probably heard
because I went to a lot of churches with friends.
Okay.
I sung in church, yes.
So oftentimes Christians... religious people say, when you get married, that divorce should not be an option. Like divorce is not an option. We even started our marriage.
That's like what we said, yep.
We were like, nope, divorce is not an option. But the more that I grow and I just experience this thing called marriage, I think that we're all approaching it the wrong way. So
sidebar. So I'm doing a sidebar because so it was, I don't know if actually when we first moved into this new house, we were just sitting there eating dinner one night, and it was just me and her. It was, it wasn't a normal dinner because normally the kids are around. It was just me and her. And she had brought this up in a discussion. And when she brought this up, and I was like, is she serious talking about divorce as an option? So we literally had a really good conversation about it. And at first I was just like, I didn't want to hear it because I'm like, no, I was like, I am not. We said that and I'm doing it. And then like as the conversation went on, the point she was telling me, it makes a lot of sense. So I don't know if you remember that conversation.
I don't. Because we talked about it several times.
Yeah. I'm talking about the first time when I was just like, I was real just defensive. I was like, no.
Well, okay. So I guess let's talk about why a lot of people go into marriages thinking that divorce should not be an option.
Okay.
Well, so my whole thing is, especially if you're religious, and you're a Christian, you're going to church. So shouldn't that mean that you have if you're religious or, you're religious, you're going to church, you get married in a church, shouldn't that give you a higher likelihood that your marriage will be successful and fulfilling?
Should.
Right. Yeah. Well, but the percentages of marriages of couples that go to church is 50%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and it's 50% for those who don't go to church.
Yeah.
So you literally, there's no gain.
Yeah.
Like there's no advantage.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just was like, okay, so that's not a seller. Like,
okay. No, I got what you're saying.
I mean, okay, so just because we go to church and we got married, well, we didn't get married in church, but you get married in a church, you get married by a preacher. Mm-hmm. You would think that, okay, that means that they're, gonna make it. Yeah. Or they have a higher likelihood of making it versus.
But just regular, regular.
Just regular. But no, there's not. And then also too, I feel as though, like I said, this mind you, I should put this disclaimer before we even start talking. These are my opinions and my feelings. So they may or may not work for you, or you may or may not agree, and that's fine. But this is what I feel like works for us in our relationship. Okay. So another thing is, what I was gonna say about church. Church is very masculine driven. Okay. It's all about the males. They're in the positions. They're the ones who, are always like especially when I grew up. They were the main ones, and the wives are just kind of there. Mm-hmm. And if there was ever any drama, which there was always drama in the church, the male always got forgiven and got accepted back into the church. For example, if you were seeing someone
that wasn't your wife.
Well, not even. Okay. Oh, I'm saying I know of both. Okay. Of all kinds of situations. Gotcha. Where you can have a man, a pastor, a preacher, a minister, deacon, or whatever. He would be married. He would cheat on his wife. His mistress would be in the same church, and then they could even have kids. But the female's always ostracized. Mm-hmm. And the male is like, well, he repented to God, or they'll sit him down for a couple of Sundays, and then he'll come back and he's back in his position. Whereas if that mistress was active, like in whatever kind of ministry, she's basically shunned from the church. Okay. So she doesn't get the same grace that we as a Christian body is supposed to give to everyone. Okay. That's why I'm like, it's actually tougher to I don't know. I just feel like it's just tougher for women. But anyways, that's another topic. But anyway, but what I'm saying, but in church, you have those affairs. Yeah. And people like, oh well, women like to see men in power. Yeah, and we've even had that conversation about. That's why I was like, I don't want you to be active in church. That's like, I don't want to be active in church. I don't want Jay to ever be a pastor, because I am not the first lady that y'all need to have. Okay, because I'll be the one at the prayer line, be like, no, she can't sit there. Listen. She got to talk to you every Sunday. She's still, no. See? So that's why I was like, it's not like being in the church gives you any support, like, or whatever, or whatever. And so then there's also too about having divorce not be an option, is that you get stuck. You feel as though you're stuck in a loveless marriage. Mm-hmm. So like, like our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, whatever, they were all in marriages. Not all of them were happy, but they were married and they couldn't get a divorce. It would look worse for them than it would their husbands. So they stayed in bad situations where they could either been getting abused or just felt like emotional abuse, if not physical. And they also didn't have their own money. Okay. So like they just like didn't have anywhere to go, and knew they were not going to get the support if they did get a divorce. Gotcha. Okay. Or even have money to get a divorce. Yeah. So they stayed in loveless and helpless marriages, and I'm just not about that life. Okay. So that's why I feel like if you say divorce is not an option, that pretty much limits the options. It gives you no outs, right? Okay. But if you say divorce is an option, then that means that you have to actually do the work. Mm-hmm. Like both people have to do the work to make that marriage successful because neither one of you have to stay.
Yeah. Okay. No, it makes sense.
And so that's where I was going when we were talking about it. Because I was like, I don't want Jay to feel like he can do whatever, he can treat me however, because I'm just going to stay. Because I don't want to get a divorce. Because that was something that I said that I've always, like, that's when we were dating. I was like, I don't want to get a divorce. Mm-hmm. But I honestly don't feel, well, I shouldn't say that. I think the large majority of people really want their marriage to work.
Yeah.
So I don't think people go in and be like, oh, I'm going to get a divorce. I'm going to be married for the next couple of years and then I'm getting a divorce and move on to the next. Mm-hmm. No. Especially when you have children. So that's why I was like, I just feel like it should be an option because I want you to always, I know we give this advice all the time, like you got to constantly date your spouse. Yep. Like whatever you did to get them, you need to continue to do to keep them. Yep. And so that's why I'm like, listen, I'm a catch.
Oh yeah.
We need to make this work. Cause I'm like peace. And you already know
You don't
to have to do all this again.
Oh, I ain't about this life. No, I ain't about that life.
Right. I know one of our jokes is like, yeah, you can try to get a divorce, but I'm moving in too. I just need to have a room. Because I don't want to be on the dating apps.
No, I ain't got time.
I don't want to date. Mm-mm. Like, I don't want to lose all of the inside jokes and start over. Mm-hmm. Now that sounds like work.
Oh, that sounds like it's
work that I'm not willing to do.
It's that type of work is the I guess I would say overtime work. That's the work. Not say that you want to do, but you have to do. Like, that's not something I want to do. But being single, not married anymore, that's part of be that old man in the club.
Yes, because you are already the old man in the club because your mentality.
Yeah, that's why I still won't go there.
Now you're like your physical will match your. Look at that dirty old man over there.
Only you call me a dirty old man. Ain't nobody else. Nobody else call me that.
Oh yeah, that would be horrible. So I guess, how do you feel about marriages of people who have been together for a really long time? Like 20, 30 plus years and calling it quits. What do you think led them to that?
Honestly, I don't know because I don't know. I guess the only thing I can think of is that they're going in two separate directions now. Yep. That's the only thing I can think of. Like they was on that path going together, and then somewhere they just started to pull apart from each other.
I agree, and I think because that's something like, yes, you're supposed to grow and mature as a person, but if you and your spouse are not doing it together, you can easily grow apart. Yeah. So at the end, when you look back, people like, I don't even know you anymore. Kind of people,
have said that. Mm-hmm.
It's because, yes, you don't know them anymore because you haven't been intentional about spending that time with them as y'all are growing. And then also too, I know a lot of people stay married because of kids. Yeah. And what happens is you get focused on raising your kids. Your kids become your life.
Your priority.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when they leave to go to college or whatever, or just leave the home, you don't know what to do. Yeah. And now you're looking at your husband like, I don't like you. Yeah. Well, because you haven't taken the time to get to know them. Yeah. Y'all, like, we're not interested in the same things. Yeah, because you've been focused on the kids.
And then over the years, as we said once before, is like, we change daily. So
yes,
if your priorities focus on the kid, you're not seeing how your spouse has changed and recognizing the change and understanding, that change in that person.
Right.
And they may think of it as being negative. Oh, you changed, but you didn't take the time to get to know that
or
person.
See the changes. To even notice the changes. And so so when the kids go off to school, you're still expecting your spouse to be that same person that you got that they were when you started having kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, the kid's 18, plus years old. I'm different now. And you haven't taken time, and then now you're like being that overbearing parent because now you're
being overbearing to
now
the
you're
spouse.
Well, you can be overbearing to the spouse. But what I was gonna say is like you are that parent who is like reliving your college years through your kid.
Ooh.
And like, do this, do that, and we gonna be here, and we gonna like do that. Like, no, I got my own friends. Like, or they don't want to do the things.
They up there every weekend, want to hang with them.
Just seem too much. But also like you're saying, or they can start parenting the spouse, which is an absolute no because how's that gonna work?
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that. But so you do have to make sure as you're like that you don't split apart, as you're growing together.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's like when the kids leave, like when you become empty nesters, that's just another phase of your relationship.
Yep.
And it's something to look forward to. It's not something that you're like, oh, like you're worried about or just depressed about.
Deuces, I get to walk around my house.
Now, see, he is already looking forward to it, but I don't think he's going to be that easy for him.
Why you say that? It is, as I said, I'm still going to love my kids. I'm not saying that.
But you like you want to kick them out.
I'm like, y'all can go ahead. All these years, y'all gave us headaches, and okay, have fun. Go.
But they're still going to give us headaches because it's going to be different.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
It's going to be different worries, different, concerns.
Let's not go into that because we have conversation about that. Let's stick to the topic about our kids.
Okay. All right. Yes, you're right. So I also think that another thing that you have to make sure that doesn't happen to avoid divorce is just making sure that your heart is not getting hardened.
Okay.
Like I mentioned it in our last episode. Check it out. What was the title of it? Why do people give up on their marriages? Y'all, it's
I was like, seriously, you didn't remember that?
I forgot. Yeah. So why people leave their marriages or give up on their marriages? I said that about. It's because I use the analogy of concrete. When you stop stirring concrete, it gets hard and stiff, and it's immovable, right? And so we have to make sure that we treat our marriages like concrete, constantly stirring in the good stuff, like the affirmations, the showing love in their love language. You gotta make sure that you're constantly stirring in, adding in the good stuff.
Watering it too.
Yeah, and water. Yeah, to all the things that are needed to make your marriage a success. Because if you don't, what will happen is when you stop doing those things, like when you stop doing the little things, like the compliments, like the little love gifts, or whatever whatever their love language may be, when you stop doing those little things, then it starts to harden the heart.
Yeah.
And then the more
the harder it gets,
the harder it's going to be for you guys to come back together.
Yeah.
For you to chip away at all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to make sure that you're continuing to just show love and just be present and be intentional about your marriage.
Yep.
And then of course you need to be praying together.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. So there's two things. So yes, you need to pray together, but also you need to pray for each other always, right? There are things that I can't understand because I am a woman. I'm the wife of this relationship. So I always got to make sure that my husband is, that I'm praying over my husband before he leaves the house, right? Because there are things that he's constantly getting bombarded with him being a black man. So I got to make sure that he stays prayed up because he's constantly facing adversaries, seen and unseen. So I need to make sure that he's always covered, right? But I also need to, we need to pray together so that our marriage is covered as well. Yep. We made a post this week about boundaries. Prayer reinforces those boundaries. Prayer helps build that trust. Is a very intimate thing. To be able to pray in front of your spouse about your concerns, about your fears, or about your desires, your dreams for your relationship, that goes unmatched. And then because you're also talking to the person who can make sure it happens. So you're talking with your person who is who should be your ride or die, your biggest cheerleader, to your father who can make it happen. It's just nothing can beat that connection.
So I'm gonna say something real quick. So for the men who don't do this and have a little who feel weird about doing this, praying with your spouse and praying over her. For me, that was something because I wasn't, I didn't grow up in the church. I didn't learn how to pray, when I was growing up. I said the prayer, "Nah, lay me down to sleep." That's what I did for 25 years because that's what I knew. So to have to pray over somebody else was difficult at one point because it is a vulnerable thing because what you're saying is you're speaking over your spouse. So it's like at first for me it was tough because I didn't think I was thinking too much. I was trying to make sure it sounded like a perfect poem and all this stuff when it's not about doing that. It's not about having this perfect poem that I can say in front of my wife so she can get goosies, and that's not what it's about. No, because that's what I thought because, just like how our vows and stuff like that, when I did my vows, I did it literally off the top of my head. And for me, it was just, I was pouring my heart out, but I never thought about, a prayer doing the same thing. When I was praying over you, I'd be trying to think of a poem that I can say that makes you get goosebumps. And I'm like, wait a second, but I'm not praying to you. Yeah. I'm praying to God. And that's where, for me, I had to get that out of my head and stop trying to figure it out myself and let the Holy Spirit just be able to speak through me like that.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I didn't like praying in front of you either because I was raised in church. I knew what their prayers sounded like versus what my prayers sounded like. Yeah. So I was like, oh no, because it needs to be embedded with all of these, church terminology, all of the inflections and the scriptures, like all of this. And so I was just like, he's going to think I'm really not a saint if he hears me pray. But that just came from Rose too about, just knowing, like me building up my prayer life with God and then becoming more comfortable in that.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's a good point. Another thing, other than praying together, when, so y'all are going to have disagreements. You're going to have fights. You're going to have heated debates.
We're different.
Huh?
We're different. That's all.
Yeah, we're different. It's going to happen. But if you're having them, it's really hard to stay mad. Especially if the issue is, or if the disagreement is over something small. It's very hard to still be mad at each other if you're fighting naked. That levels the playing field. And that's what I feel like. I feel like if more people would fight naked, these disagreements will go out the window.
It wouldn't last as long.
It wouldn't. So because the whole thing, like the term now is like, when people want to get a divorce,
Reconcile. I don't know.
What?
I don't know how to say the word. Reconcile.
I thought it was irreconcilable. There we go.
I don't know.
Cut all that other part out. All right.
No, we're going to use it all because I'm...
Irreconcilable, close enough, differences.
Okay.
Basically, they just can't get it together. Mm-hmm. Like, they just can't work past it. Okay? So, but have you tried to work past those differences naked? I don't know. I just don't know how you stay mad at each other naked.
But this is the thing. So you actually have these, if you're arguing, I'm not saying, how do you just, if you're arguing, you just say, okay, just take your clothes off. Like, because.
Be like, this is getting heated. Let's take it to the bathroom. Take it to the bathroom. Take it to the bedroom. And that's when, yes.
But for, I'm going to say for men, I'm going to say for myself, prior to us actually doing this, if you just said, let's go to the bed in the bedroom and then say, get naked, my first thing is like, oh, okay, it's about to go down.
But that's what I'm saying. Even then, it's already taken away. It's already changing your mindset.
I get that, but it's like, how do you...
but that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
How do you have a conversation when you standing tall now? Like, it's like...
That is also to the whole point. Is it really an issue...
If you could get naked and...
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Is it really something that, like, is it really to the level of that it was getting?
Yeah.
That as soon as y'all drop clothes, y'all minds shift?
Yeah.
It wasn't that important.
It wasn't that important.
It's not that serious.
Yeah.
So what it does, it allows you to truly keep the real thing. Like, focus on the thing.
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm just kind of.
And so also too, it's like, because it puts you in a different mindset, like where you're willing to
be more vulnerable now.
Exactly.
Because now
y'all are naked.
Yeah.
So it takes away all of the sting, like.
And then, like you said, it allows you to focus on what it is, because you get naked, your focus is like, ooh.
Exactly, and you're more willing to work toward that compromise. Mm-hmm. Faster because y'all naked, so then you're like, oh, because it can lead to that. But that's what I said. Y'all try, y'all let us know. I don't know how to stay extremely upset with a person.
It works. That's all I gotta say. I know
it works. Naked.
I know it works.
That now, if you're able to do that. Then apparently it's a real issue, and y'all really talk. Like, I really need to figure out, how to do it, like to really work through the problem. Mm-hmm. But I find it very hard for you to keep that same intensity, even if it is a serious issue, for you to keep that same intensity.
No, I don't.
While naked?
No, I don't think that's gonna be the case.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Okay, I could be wrong. I'm just saying it works. And another thing is to seek help. We said it last week. It's safe. Definitely, like I said, you need to seek God's help. So you need to pray about it. You need to seek out spiritual guidance as well. So for those who have a relationship with God, having them to pray over you and your marriage. And then seeking, professional, non-spiritual help, like, therapy, marriage counseling, because yes, I say divorce is an option, but divorce is only an option. Okay, if we're going by the Bible, like what we believe God. Okay, let me try again. All right. If we're really trying to live according to God's word, God hates divorce. Mm-hmm. He hates the act of divorce. He does not hate the people that get divorced because, of course, we're his children. He can't hate us, but he hates the act of divorce. He also says that, like, there's very limited reasons within the Bible that are listed within the Bible of reasons why you can't get a divorce, right?
Uh-huh.
So if those reasons are showing up in your marriage, then you have I guess like a legitimate reason to end your marriage. But I still feel like before you go there, you need to make sure that you've done everything else.
Correct.
Right. You need to make sure you prayed over it. You need to make sure you sought spiritual guidance and spiritual help, as well as you sought professional help before just making it final.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I guess, yes, divorce is an option for us, but it's only because it's not my first response.
Yeah.
It's my last resort, my absolute last resort. And because of that, that's why I'm willing to do the work to keep my marriage healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the event we start getting, if there is trouble, I'm willing to do the work to bring it back on track.
Okay.
Before having to throw in the towel of divorce.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about that.
I want to thank everybody for listening and watching this week. And I hope we was able to give you guys some gems about our conversations that we've had about this topic.
About divorce, yeah.
About divorce. And again, like I said, for me, I was, when she brought it up, I was truly like, okay, she you got to be kidding me. Like, we've been getting this long, now that's it. But then, again, that's part of the change. Not say the change, but us growing and changing, evolving, and being able to be open to hear what your spouse has and what their feelings are behind it, and not condemn them for feeling something different or having a change in their thoughts and mindset. So, but yeah, so.
All right. So, be sure to like and share and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please sure that you subscribe or follow and leave a review. It'd be great to know what you guys think about this podcast.
Yes. Well, if that's everything,
So that's it.
We'll talk to y'all next week.
All right.
Peace.